Waihi is synonymous with gold mining. You can see it all through the town. 154 years of old buildings and tanks lost to the bush, old cogs and dump trucks, statues, murals and period buildings, even gold tours. And the most obvious sign, the old open pit Martha mine.
I remember coming to Waihi as a kid for school trips.
I'm a bit older now and I'm back to take a look at a controversial plan to mine under conservation land. First though, I'm heading underground to see the current operation. There are around 130 kilometres of tunnels which access a handful of gold and silver deposits. These massive machines drill holes for explosives, the rock is blown up, the rock is taken to the surface in these big haulers and processed at this plant. So you can get your bearings, this is Waihi from above. Here's the old open cast mine, and this is where all the current underground operations are. We were just in there. The access tunnel runs to the main processing facility here, where the gold and silver is extracted using cyanide. And the tailings, including the residual cyanide, is pumped to these ponds here. The controversial proposal is to add a third pond, which will be fed from the existing processing plant, but from an entirely new mine, accessed via a 5-kilometre tunnel from the plant to this farm, which neighbours conservation forest. From here, they'll drill dual parallel tunnels nearly 7 kilometres in length to the gold and silver seam, where they'll dig out via layers of horizontal tunnels, like they're currently doing under Waihi. On the surface, forest would have to be cleared for 3 and possibly 4 ventilation stacks to provide fresh air to the mine. They'd be the size of a single garage and dug from below, not above. Here's one for the existing mine. But this forest is home to one of the most endangered amphibians in the world, the native New Zealand Archie's frog. It's not even 4 centimetres long, it lays eggs, not tadpoles, and doesn't live in water, but in damp foliage.
They're really interesting little critters. We've found them in places where we completely didn't expect to find them, so we've done this distribution study where we've gone out to look across the whole southern Coromandel to figure out where they are located, and we've probably done the most frog surveying work out of any company, including DOC.
Cassie MacArthur used to work at DOC but now works for the mine's owner, Oceana Gold, and she's been counting frogs.
So the official DOC record is 5,000 to 20,000, and just here at Wharekirauponga we've found at least 1,000, so we know that that 5,000 to 20,000 number is a lot lower than there actually is.
She says there could be millions across the whole peninsula, but Catherine Delahunty from Coromandel Watchdog disputes that and is concerned about the impacts explosive underground mining will have.
They don't have ears, so the vibration will affect them through their skin. And so they feel everything through their body.
We don't think it's going to have an effect on those frogs, and we're actually proposing to do a big pest control project.
The pests she's referring to are wild pigs, cats, rats, mice, stoats, hedgehogs, possums, and even other non-native frogs that eat them. The mine's promising to spend $8 million over a decade on predator control across most of the Coromandel.
You can't kill something off and say, well, it's okay, we've just killed it off there because it's going to be fine everywhere else. That's not how it works with rare species that can't be moved.
Stuff asked DOC about the frog and the mine and the predator control plans, but all it said was, we have not formed a position on the impact of the proposed activities on conservation values. A third tailings pond next to these ones is part of the plan too. This is where the cyanide left over from the extraction is pumped.
They covered all this beautiful farmland that was good for growing food with toxic waste. And now it's going to sit there, and who's going to pay for it?
Cyanide is a motive. It does exist out there in the natural world, and we have a proven experience in managing it over the last 30 odd years we've operated here.
It's stored here so the sunlight can break it down before it's treated and eventually released into the river. But what if birds land here before then?
If we find birds that are deceased, that they go in for an autopsy to check and make sure that cyanide isn't related to those deaths. And since the operation has been running, it's not had one of those incidents.
Oceana Gold is Canadian and made $172 million in profit over the last year. And Delahunty says it all heads offshore.
The amount of gold that's gone out of there, that town should have, it should be lined with golden streets. There should be amazing youth facilities. There should be incredible resources for the community. So much money's been taken out of that place.
We think we found about $4 billion worth of gold Of that $4 billion worth of gold, about 85% of that stays in New Zealand in terms of the suppliers we pay, the wages we pay, the taxes we pay, everything that goes into making a gold mine work.
There are currently 387 full-time workers, around 100 contractors and around 1,000 indirect jobs. Wilson says without the mine, Waihi would be unrecognisable.
So that's 300 children who are in local schools who would no longer be here. That's goodness knows how many families that would no longer be shopping at local supermarkets. That's volunteer firefighters, people who do volunteer ambulance work. We're a big chunk of this community.
If mining was to stop here, I think you're left, from an economic perspective, you're left standing on the edge of a pretty big cliff.
Eddie Morrow runs the Gold Discovery Centre and does tours as well. He says mining holds Waihi together.
Also, the minute you talk about economic hits like that, you're also impacting social hits, and so it flows through the town in a whole lot of different ways.
As for the opponents, Oceana Gold says its doors are open and they'd be happy to show them everything.
Don't just yell at me, don't just wave placards at me, don't just say you're wrong. Let's sit down and explain to me how you think we could possibly harm frogs.
We don't benefit, we just have a stupid argument. And actually, we're not really interested in a dialogue with them.
A tiny frog proving to be a big hurdle in the pursuit of Waihi's gold.